Welcome in, everybody. This is the Binge Empire podcast where we discuss some of our favorite fantasy and sci-fi TV shows. I am your co-host, Dave, joined by my Binge Empire member, Paul. And today we are continuing our coverage of Netflix's original TV show, The Sandman, with season 2, episodes 3 and 4. Overall, these were some solid episodes. I'd probably say I enjoyed 3 just a little bit more than I did 4, but both were still very good. As is custom with The Sandman, we are introduced to a few new characters in these episodes. However, some of them will not be making it out of these episodes, but there is a lot of drama brewing, and you can kind of feel the buildup as we approach the midway point of the season in episode 6. And again, for the reminder for those listening, they've only released episodes 1 to 6 for the time being, and then episodes 7 to 12, I believe, will release on July 24th or 26th. I can't remember. 24th, as Paul nods his head. So we're gearing up for that mid finale, and I'm imagining we're going to get left on a pretty hefty cliffhanger before they release the second part. But again, just to reiterate, I have been enjoying the season. These episodes were very solid. I think the pairing of 1 and 2 might have been better overall, but we're still at the beginning of season 2, so we have to get that intro out of the way. I'm going to hand it over to Paul as he gives his thoughts on these episodes as well, and then we're just going to roll into our episode discussion.
Yeah, great episodes. Everything like you're saying. I love all the characters that we get. It's funny though because I kind of need to restructure how I think about this show and what the big dilemma is because I forgot season 1 we'll wrap up a dilemma halfway through the next episode and then all of a sudden get introduced to another one. I thought the gate to hell was going to be like a season long thing. Like, where does this go? Who gets it? And I think we are on the right track because, like Destiny said, that meeting will trigger chain reactions. So I think obviously the gate to hell was the first part of that chain reaction. But now I don't really know where it's going, right? Because I know we also get some more like the family stuff that I was talking about. Like we wanted some kind of more of those relationships with some of the family members that we didn't really see a whole bunch. And we do get that in episode 4. But even at the end of episode 4, I don't know where we're going in episode 5. So it's fun because you can't really pin it down and it's hard to guess. So almost everything is a surprise, and the whole otherworldly aspect of it. I mean, it's kind of hard to guess what the story of a god is going to be. So it's a lot of fun. But it's the show. I'm constantly reminded how unique this show is.
Yeah, the pacing is very quick. It feels like you said we are resolved issues within an episode or at most 2, and then we're moving on to the next arc, you could call it. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so episode 3, More Devils Than Vast Hell Can Hold. We pick up right where we left off with Azazel threatening Dream with Nada. And he doesn't like that Dream says he'll take it under consideration. Like Azazel pretty much thought that was going to be like a for sure thing once he played that trump card of Nada. And Dream is like, you'll hear my decision tomorrow, waves his hand, and Azazel becomes dust. It's just like, guys, he's aura farming in his dream realm here. But this next convo is funny because it's Lucian and Dream having a conversation that me and you had about episode 2, because we were discussing, it was Azazel's home and the other demons as well. So if giving him the key would free you, free Nada, and they would get their home back, like, isn't that not a terrible situation? And it's funny because we said that last episode, but the big issue is whoever has the key to hell is basically the second most powerful entity in the world, and Dream knows that Azazel will never be content with just ruling hell. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it coincides very much with Azazel's personality. I mean, from what we've seen from this season and the season before, that Azazel always had these, high aspirations of, just becoming a ruler of some sorts. And whether that would only be confined to the gates of hell or beyond, it definitely didn't feel like a safe pick in him, but he did put Dream in, a big enough conundrum where it was something that he definitely needed to think about. And I think it was a surprise to me on who he decided to give the key to. I don't know if we even brought that up as a possibility in the last episode because we were so informed that the angels were just watchers of the situation. We didn't think of them as actual candidates. But yeah, I don't. While Azazel gets dealt with pretty quickly, and I will say it was pretty badass. It's just always so cool seeing Dream at his full potential. Like he is in the dreaming right now. So with all these guests of his, and he let them know that this is my domain, and if you are gonna fuck with me here, you're not gonna make it out okay. And Azazel clearly gets put in place here. I it was a lot to process. It felt like things were moving quick, but overall, I like how Dream kind of approaches each of the factions here in the beginning and kind of gives them the positives and negatives of why giving them the key would be a bad thing or a good thing. And he settles on the angels, like we said. And I love the perspective that he has here. And it seems like everyone's reactions to him giving the keys to the angels was really, it felt sweet, I will say, because they all agreed with it. They didn't necessarily all fight over it, like some people had thought.
Mhm.
Just great scene. This is another great scene from Dream as well. The actor is crushing it. I think in the beginning of season 1, I wasn't sure how this representation felt. It was he's very cold. He doesn't offer much emotion, but that's kind of just who Dream is. And in season 1, that was a little off-putting, I think, as a main character. But here, I think it just works so well as we kind of just know that that's who he is.
Mhm.
I just love Dream now. It's just he crushed it in this scene.
Yeah, he's very cold and to the point, but he's also very logical and, will show compassion when it is, warranted and everything.
Mhm.
Like you said, I love like Dream's decision when he comes down from the steps, everybody's waiting. It's like LeBron when he had the
Yeah, for the
decision.
Miami. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like everybody's waiting, and he has this long, drawn out explanation that's like half showmanship too. So I thought it was
Yo, it's
funny.
Dream. We're here at the live feed. I'm about to make my decision. It's
Yeah.
like AI. Like
Yeah,
so funny.
there is a alternate universe where Dream is like a social media guy like that.
Yeah,
But
he's streaming the whole event.
yeah, like he said though, like I like how he kind of refers to everyone while he's making the explanation and explains the logic, which in the end everybody does respect. Like he tells Odin like hell can't be an extension of your own realm. He's telling Azazel like you obviously can't. Well, because you'll never have good intentions, and heaven is nothing without hell. And it looks
And
like he's
Azazel, again, like we kind of already discussed, he wouldn't maybe just be happy with being the ruler of hell. He might strive for more than that. So
totally. He's crazy. So it was wild when all of a sudden he walks up to Susano and he's like, "I'm obligated to entrust it with someone who serves in heaven's name." And I was like, Susano serves in heaven's name? And then he looks up and he sees them floating there. And I'm like, oh, okay, he got me. I thought we nailed it last episode. We were like,
yeah.
clearly Susano's the guy.
Yeah, it was too obvious. I think Susano was he pitched too good of an opportunity to Dream. And
Hmm.
I think what Dream was kind of saying there is that while Susano wouldn't necessarily be a bad fit for Hell, I think Hell is more than just Hell doesn't need a rebirth is how I kind of took it. Susano's pitch was that he would change Hell and all of its and how it would rule, and maybe it'd be a little bit more peaceful, whatever. But I think that wasn't what Dream was looking for. I think he wanted it to kind of, he was saying it's a reflection of heaven. It's not meant to be changed, is how I took it. Kind of like it's supposed to be how it is, and that's kind of why Susano, I think, wasn't the correct pick. Is they needed someone who understood hell, which, yes, Susanna did kind of get because he lived there for so long, he lived there.
Hmm.
But in all reality, the angels and God are the ones that are most familiar with it, since they are the ones that created it essentially. So it makes sense. And it did hurt to not see Susano get the key, of course, because we love him, but I don't think this will be the last time we see of him, and I'll be rooting for him. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, hopefully he gets some other type of promotion or some good comeuppance.
Mhm.
But yeah, you made a good point, like kind of describing Hell's role, and we get a lot of that kind of this season already. Early on, we learn that a lot of realms, while they're independent, they somewhat are extensions of other realms. We even get it here when Dream is talking to Nula and saying, at one point, the fairy was an extension of the dreaming, and everything like that. And we also kind of see in episode 4, not to jump ahead, it feels like Delirium and Destruction's realm are somewhat connected, because she says she can feel how everything is so broken.
Mhm.
So, in that sense, heaven and hell clearly connected. We talked about how, Dream had a great explanation of that in episode 2. And if Susano changed hell, it would affect heaven, and that probably wouldn't go over well because that's the
Mhm.
creator. So I think it really was just the smart decision. And we'll get to Lucifer's reaction to Dream's decision as well. But I do want to go back real quick, just talk about how we got to the decision, which was Nula could sleep because Claire Can was banging away through the walls.
Of
Um,
course.
so she gets up for a walk, sees Dream, and they have a really cool discussion. It's also, almost a remembrance and of how Dream was able to do the impossible before. So she believes in him to do it again. And this is where we learn about Queen Titania and the fairy, and how it seems like maybe Dream had a relationship with Titania in the past, because
That's what I was kind of picking up on that a little bit too. They didn't confirm it. I think maybe mainly because Oberon the king was right there, and I don't think they obviously wanted to spark up that old conversation in front of him. But yes, I was picking up that as well, that they were used to be a thing.
yeah, it took me until the second watch through, embarrassingly, to kind of pick that up. So, uh, they we get we go back in time. We see a young William Shakespeare. We see
Which
Dreams up to
also crazy that William Shakespeare came back. I just thought we were going to be done with him in the Hob episode, since we had kind of passed his time. But it's so cool that they made a joke out of him in season 1, but here he is being like super important. He's basically the bridge almost, it feels like, between the fairies and the humans, and or at least
yeah.
the dreaming. And crazy that we get to see him again.
No, it was a really good surprise. I wasn't ready for it, but Dreams talking to him, and he's like, "Is it ready?" And William's like, "Yeah, dude, it's my best work yet." So we get King Obra and Queen Titania, and the rest of the fairy realm coming through. We get a young Joffrey
Yeah.
as Puck, and that's terrible. I should look up his name. I shouldn't. I
Jack
shouldn't.
Gleason. I have it. It's
All right,
Jack
cool.
Gleason. Yeah. Yeah.
He will forever be Joffrey, unfortunately, in everybody's mind. But you got to give the actor the props he deserves. So
It's I'm not gonna give him a hard time, but I know that he was like super upset with how the world, views him, kind of, because he's received death threats, which one,
ridiculous.
ridiculous. Yeah, people that take it that far are just crazy. But he's had a rough life since becoming Joffrey, because people just hate him for his role as Joffrey,
Hmm.
and it's crazy that he kind of is now playing a role also that, at least in my mind, doesn't appear to be a good person. Or I think he's going to be causing some mischief in the future. And I'm spoiler alert, I think the trailer did kind of show that Loki and Puck kind of talking at some point. So it's like,
Oh,
so now
okay.
Jack Leeson's like coming into a role again where he might be an asshole, and it's like, is this guy just born to play asshole roles? Like, I mean, he does a great job of it. Don't get me wrong, but I I feel bad for him, kind of, because I don't know if he'll receive some hate from this. But as Puck, though, as an actor, Jack Leeson is phenomenal. I think he plays the role of Puck super well, and I'm excited to definitely see more of him. I honestly forgot that. I remember seeing the images of him like coming out and saying like, "Oh, I'll be a part of Sandman." Um, and I had just kind of forgot about it until seeing him on screen. So it was really cool to see him back on screen, especially obviously since we have Brienne of Tarth as well on the cast. So it's just, you know, friendly faces from popular TV show that we've seen in the past.
Well, that's what I was just looking up here. I don't know if you saw this, but Oberon was actually from he played Istrid in The
Yeah, and
Witcher.
Wisher, yes, I recognize that face immediately as well. So we got all these fantasy characters coming together in one world. So cool.
Yeah, it's like the Netflix connection. They like
The
stay in the same.
The
Yeah.
Netflix University.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you nailed everything about Robin Goodfellow, aka Puck. He doesn't even try to hide it. He's like, dude, I can't wait to fuck with these humans
Yeah,
and mortals. It's just
and
and
his parents are just sitting there like, yeah, just they
is
don't even
that
like acknowledge that he's crazy. You know, they're just like, yeah, just follow us.
I don't know if Oberyn and Titania are his parents, or I think he refers to I think Oberyn refers to Robin Goodfellow as like his servant or something like that.
I can't
So
remember him.
yeah, but either way, yeah, they don't try to stop him at all. Like they're
Yeah,
just like Oberyn says one thing, like, "Hey, just relax," and doesn't pay attention. He's gone for the second half of the play, and nobody says anything. So,
at least with like Thor and Odin and Loki, like they have a good eye on Loki and they're making sure that he's not acting out anyway. But here, these two are just like, yeah, Puck can just, yeah, Robin can just say whatever he wants. We don't care.
mm. So again, took me the second watch through to kind of fully all put this together. But the way that I took this whole play and Dream's whole plan was that at one point, Dream and Titania were together. As Dream put it, relationships became strained and Dream was banished from the ferry. They couldn't even speak Dream's name of Morpheus, otherwise they would like incur the queen's wrath. So after all this time, Dream puts this play together to give as a gift to the fairy to show that the mortals will always remember them and they'll always kind of see this play as one of the best works of humanity. But it's also, in a way, Dream's blessing of saying, I respect that Oberyn and Titania, you two are together anymore, and I understand my role. And I just want our realms to be in peace. I don't want to be split anymore.
Yeah. So it was confusing for me. So if any of you guys didn't catch it, the play is supposed to be, I'm pretty sure, A Midsummer's Night Dream by Shakespeare, like that the actual play. Which I'm not going to sit here and say I'm, you know, a Shakespeare expert. If anything, I despised Shakespeare in high school and middle school whenever we had to do anything with Shakespeare. But there were a lot of like really cool like William Shakespeare references. Like even the episode title, I'm pretty sure, is like an excerpt from the play itself, A Midsummer's Night Dream. It was confusing to me because yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like the basics of it all, I understand that the play was kind of like a peace offering, and you know it did end up working. But where I was kind of like stumped was that Nuala, I'm pretty sure at some point says that like the play kind of, I don't want to say insults Oberon and um who's the queen again? Sorry, I'm blanking.
Titania.
Titania, but like it calls them out for a lot of things, but they kind of like laugh it off and like accept that it was wrong. Like, do you remember what she was talking about? Like, she does say that like you called them out, but in a way that they kind of respected you for. So, like, I don't really get that whole part of it, like where he was, if you want to say, mocking them or like bringing it
Yeah.
up. I don't know the story of Midsummer Night Dream that well to know, but
Yeah.
they seemed to respect it as well. Like, it was a shot at them, but at the same time, they took it on the chin and we're just like, okay, we get this and
Hmm.
we'll learn from it, I guess. It was like a learning moment.
Yeah. Somebody out there will be better, definitely be able to explain it. But the way that I was kind of taking it was that, yes, Oberyn admits that this play didn't, in reality, didn't transpire or anything like that. I think it's how Titania and Oberyn first met and how they first came together
Mhm.
to rule together, basically. But Nuala at the end says that Nula or Nuala? I still don't know. I'm gonna say both.
It's spelled Nuala, but when I hear it, it sounds like Nula.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll try to say Nula, um, but I think what she says to Dream is like, you held up a mirror to their faces for them to
Yeah.
realize that they were the issue of this rift between the fairy and the dreaming, and I
Mhm.
think that they held all the grudges, and that's why. So once they kind of put the past in the past, they're just like, hey, you're welcome here,
Okay.
and stuff like that. And that was the impossible rift that Dream fixed that gave Nula hope that he can do it again.
Mhm.
Again, I'm sure there is plenty more nuances within the actual play's content itself, which, like you said, we have almost no context of or idea of.
Mhm.
But it was a really cool way to show a gift that will like almost never expire, or only expires with the like perishing of the people themselves. So it was a really good gift too. It's
I
basically saying
love
like because with how gods are, like Dream says in episode 4, the best way to kill a god is have people stop believing in them and worshiping them. So
yes.
by giving this play to the mortals, it's also giving a bunch of power, I
Power.
believe, to the
Mhm.
fairy.
Yeah. It's great. And I just love when, fantasy and sci-fi shows can kind of bring a little bit of like real world culture into their TV shows and like make lore out of it. I always think that that's just like a super
Mhm,
genius and cool thing to do, to just make presenting content to the fan, the audience, like a lot easier. So
mhm.
really cool. Even though we don't know anything about Midsummer Night's Dream, it's still really cool to see how they want to bring that culture into the show.
Gotta bring up the doorway portal because that looked and was so cool.
Yeah. For sure.
And you brought up how you believe there's going to be more with Puck, and that was my theory because us here at Binge Down TV, not all of us like watching the trailers, gives away too much.
Yeah.
But it at the end of this, it shows Puck on the stage, and he didn't leave with the rest of the fairy. So
Mm.
I was waiting for in the future, maybe we'll get the rest of that conversation between Dream and him. And it just felt like we were going to have more of them because he didn't like say bye. He didn't leave with everybody. It just felt like with what mischief he was causing, he was going to be more. So if you're saying he's going to talk to Loki, that's nuts. I'm really
Yeah, it's gonna
excited.
be crazy. I mean, you already know that, like, we already know that Dream, has an affinity to mortals and humans, and can obviously relate with them with the whole situation with Naga. Not in terms of maybe love, but at least respects mortals. And obviously, Puck is very anti-mortal and wants to just like use them as playthings. So already two conflicting personalities. So they're definitely going to be battling it out at some point.
Nah, that'll be a lot of fun. But back to the dreaming, we already talked about Dream giving his decision, but what we didn't talk about was Azazel's reaction. And
Mhm.
Azazel's like, um, that's not what we talked about. I'm going to murder Nada in front of you, and you're going to have to sit here and watch the suffering. And you can't do anything about it because you gave me your hospitality, and you can't hurt those that you are under your protection. And Dream's like, while you're right that you're under my protection, I also reached out my hospitality to those I didn't know about, which includes Queen Nada. So
Mhm.
if you try anything to hurt her, I will have the right to stop you. And it's a little confusing about what happens. So I guess Azazel's like, all right, I won't hurt her. I'll give her up. And once I do that, I will renounce your hospitality and attack you.
Mhm.
So I guess he thought he was the big dog,
Yeah.
but in reality, he's an idiot because not only did he free Nada, his leverage, he also attacked Dream in his realm and immediately just got bottled up like a little lightning bug.
Yeah, the whole transition of all was really cool because we just see Azazel in the room and then all of a sudden he's just enclosed in this vial, and just shows you the power of Dream, man. He's
Mm,
he's so cool, and especially in his realm. Yeah, it doesn't feel like many entities out there could stop him in this realm, and
yeah.
many obviously don't even try to. Like some of the demons were even like, oh yeah, it was like stupid of Azazel to try to attack you, especially like in your realm. Like that was just dumb. So I don't even think there's not many people that could stop Dream here. I don't think
No.
God maybe, but other
Yeah.
than that, he feels pretty invincible, and it's so
Mhm.
badass.
And I love how he does this thing too, where Dream like almost play acts like with Azazel, like, oh
Mhm.
no, like you're attacking me, and he's like, oh, and like falls back, like he actually did get consumed, but he's just like kind of giving Azazel this false confidence to show that he's beat before he even realizes it, and he's like, oh, Azazel, like you're an idiot to attack me here. Maybe if you attack me somewhere else, but not in my place of power. And then
Yeah, he gets swallowed, and I'm just like, okay, I guess we'll spend the rest of the episode like getting out of Azazel or whatever, and then
yeah.
it just Azazel's going, wait, where'd he go? And then it's just Dream saying, "Oh, Azazel," and
Mhm.
it's just like, okay, well, Dream was never in a bind in the first
Yeah.
place.
Like, you're a child, you're getting
Yeah,
scolded. And I love the way Dream stands there with Azazel in the bottle and says to everybody else, "Does anyone else in this place have a problem with my decision?"
yeah.
Good.
Even the gods of Thor and Odin were just like, nah, we're
Y
good, bro. We
yeah.
won't fuck with you.
Yeah, I do not wanna be bottled up. So,
No.
everybody leaves, we get some cool conversations, like, Kilderkin sends a message saying, like, "I cannot fault your decision, and low-key respect it, even though I'm not happy with how it ended."
Mhm.
Shivering Jemmy, she was just joking, so it won't actually incur the wrath of chaos.
Yeah.
Um, and then the Queen of Spiders, Merkin, says like, "Thank you for showing mercy to Azazel and not killing him. Just you're just giving him, time to reflect um, on his actions. He's not a diplomat; he's a warrior. But thank you again."
I loved all these goodbyes, man. They were all like super sentimental and just like I feel like everyone leaving meant what they said. Like
Hmm.
Merkin was thankful that Azazel wasn't just killed or you know rid of right then and there, and Odin himself seemed to even respect uh, Dream's decision of giving it to the angels, and even offers Dream to come by and share his meat and meat with him. So that was just like really heartwarming moment. Yeah. So like I was smiling at these goodbyes, even though things were like pretty hot and things
High
could have gotten
tension.
out of hand pretty quickly, but I loved it. I love this goodbye.
Yeah, I loved it. I wonder if we'll see more of Odin. I hope Dream's in a bind and it's
It
just
feels
like,
like all these characters, there's just no reason to just throw them away at this point. Like they're all very good, they're all very unique, and they all serve different purposes. Like I would definitely love to see more of all these characters. Maybe not the it girl, but
Shivering Jemmy.
yeah.
I called
I
her
haven't even
Jemmy
bothered.
Shivers or something last episode.
Well, that's the new name now. I'll remember that. Jimmy Shivers. Yeah, she can stay gone, but everyone else certainly come back. Merkin even. I'd love to see her come back.
I don't know if there's any listeners out there that read Joe Abercrombie, but Cole Shivers, one of the best characters in fantasy out
Mhm.
there. So Dave will get there eventually. He'll read it.
Maybe one day.
So we also got a goodbye from the fairy. Claire
Mhm.
Can awkwardly is like, "Ooh, I thought you talked to Titania about this, but you're actually going to stay here because we're giving you a dream as a gift." And of
Mhm.
course, the gentleman that he is, Dream's like, "What the fuck? She's not a prisoner. She's not a gift. Like she doesn't have to do
Yeah.
anything." But the catch is that if you refuse the queen's gift, she's not going to be happy. And if Nula goes back, she might incur the queen's wrath. So at the end of the day, Nula's like, I'd rather stay here as a gift than go back to a world and a queen and a brother who think so little of me that they would give me away. So really cool, uh, you know, uh, relationship going forward here. I love when Nula and Dream are talking. And I don't know about you, but we're about to go over this Nada stuff, and it doesn't really end well with Nada. So, like, is there a future with Dream and Nula?
I
Because, like,
I was
she's not
I was
immortal.
thinking I was thinking that for sure, and Dream does have a history with the fairies, so he's definitely into fairies, so
Mhm.
there's definitely a path here. Yeah, the only question I have from this scene really is like I wonder what was the queen's decision in leaving Nula here, Like we understand that it was an order, but why? Is Nuala unknowingly is supposed to be watching Dream and seeing what he does, and
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like, because if everything was good between him and Titania and everything, and they Dream did give them their piece of they'd no longer have to give sacrifices to hell, so like
Mhm.
they're all good. So why would Queen Titania's like, this doesn't feel like a gift, I wouldn't say like giving your daughter to someone is like a gift. I mean, maybe in a barbaric sense, I guess it is. Like,
Mhm.
I'm just curious to know where Titania's, what her plot is for leaving her there. We weren't really given an answer. The brother just kind of drops her off and is like, I don't really know, but you just got to stay here.
Yeah, he does, like you said, he does say that she is a gift to Dream. So maybe it truly was Titania just trying to keep that relationship mended after the last time.
Yeah, but then she's like completely butchering the relationship with her and her daughter. Like, obviously, Nuala wasn't like, if Nuala was happy to be with Dream, then maybe it's a gift, because I do think Nuala respects Dream, obviously, and like there is something there that she's always envied him, but like I think she would have rather been with her people than been forced to stay here. So it's like
Yeah.
she's dampering that relationship, but at what cause? So hopefully we figure that out. And the
Yeah.
fairies are going to be a very big faction, I imagine, and especially now that we have one staying with Dream at all times. So we'll
Mhm.
see.
Yeah. Yeah, truly, it could have been Titania just throwing away Nula, being like,
It
"I don't care
really,
about
yeah,
you
it
anymore."
really could have just been a gift, and her not really, I guess, considering the feelings of Nuala. But
I know, I
because that is a thing in politics, at least like old school, like kings and queens way back
mhm.
when, like gifting, whatever. But we'll see.
Yeah, like, look at Theon Greyjoy and the, um, Starks at
Start,
Winterfell.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, either way, Nuala says, I'd like to stay. I'd rather stay here," and removes her what is what does she say? Dislikes little magics in her glamour and stuff like that in her robes. And when she transforms, she like drops her accent too, which I didn't see coming, which was a good touch. She's just more being herself and open now. So I
Yeah.
think it in the long run it'll be, good for her. And Lucienne and Taramis are actually excited that Nula will be staying there too. So good
Yeah.
addition.
Love that. Yeah.
But there is one more guest that didn't leave through the front door, and it looks like it's Susano, even though we saw like bound and gagged Susano being taken out the door with Thor.
Bound and gagged Loki being taken out the door with Thor.
Yes, sorry.
Bound
Turns
and gagged Loki, air quotes on Loki.
yeah, there you go. um, but as soon as we see this Susano and he kicks off his footwear, it's just like, oh, I hate those. I knew right away. I was like, all right, it's Loki. It has to be.
Mhm,
Sure
mhm.
enough, Dream, you can't fool Dream in his own world, like Loki was saying earlier, and of course he gets caught. And they strike a little deal here because can't leave Susano suffering in Loki's place. Dream won't let that happen, especially because Susano was under his hospitality and protection in the first place.
Mhm.
But he also doesn't want to just let Loki go free because then he's going to like incur possibly Odin's wrath. So now they have a little deal going where Loki is in his debt.
Mhm. Yeah, feel bad for Susanna, man. He spent all those years in hell, tortured and suffering, only to get put into a new situation where he's going to be tortured and suffered for God knows how long. So,
It it sounded like Dream maybe would say something to Odin at the end. I'm not exactly sure though. He might just let him go.
obviously, he should report it to Odin,
Mhm.
but I think Dream definitely has a use for Loki going forward, especially now that he knows. Well, I guess in the moment he didn't know this, like in terms of like looking for his brother, but
Yeah.
Loki, he recognizes Loki as mischievous, but also pretty powerful. So having someone like that in your back pocket to just call upon a favor for,
Mhm.
it's probably fine. But again, it's Loki, so you never know. But Dream could have done better. I think he should have just sent him off, told Odin, but
Yeah.
we'll see if this comes back at all.
I love the threat that he says to Loki where he's like, "I could create a dream image of you and let him walk in your place. No one would ever know." And it's like, oh god, it's so terrifying.
Really is.
So we got about 2 more scenes for this episode. The first one is going to be Dream's conversation with Lucifer Morningstar. She's doing what she said she was going to do. She just went off to a random beach, but she picked the most overcast and non-sandy beach
Dude,
ever.
I'm so glad you said that because that was like one of my only notes. Besides, like, I love this conversation that they have here. My other note is what a terrible beach choice. Like, doesn't want something with sand. She gets something that's really rocky. The water's just dirty. It's overcast. It's like of all the beaches that you could have chose to stay at, you choose this one. Like,
Yeah. I
whatever.
I wonder if there's like a story behind it, like if it's a beach somewhere in a certain
I'm
country.
sure maybe like thousands of years ago, this beach was probably of importance to her. But for me, as someone who
Mm,
does not want rocks on their beach, I
yeah.
was like, not a great choice.
No, that's a great point. Probably was like a really important hotspot a few thousand or a few million years ago.
When I'm on the beach, I imagine kicking my shoes off and just like digging my feet in the sand. I can't do that with rocks. I'm not doing that.
Bury me in the rocks. It'll be
Yeah.
so fun. But anyway, great conversation, like you said. Dream says, I gave the key back to the creator, and she just goes, "Well done. I wish I would have thought of that," which is
Mhm.
just so funny. And Dream's like, "Yo, what was going on? You said you were going to destroy me." And she was like, "I was angry. I was lashing out. I was angry at God, but I was taking it out on you." And then she drops the "God is a C word" line, and I was like, "Whoa, wasn't expecting Lucifer." I guess it makes sense though. She really does hate him.
Yeah, she doesn't care. But I think, yeah, this Lucifer, what a turn of a character for her. I mean, from season
Mhm,
1 to just seemingly being this villain to being this like totally complex character that was just kind of forced into a situation that they necessarily didn't really want to be in. And I think she looks great without, the hair was doing it for me, the like the messy hair kind of, and not, she looks great here. And
mhm,
she Lucifer ended up being just such a more complex character than I thought was planned. Because we had introduced to her the devil, ruler of hell, and it's like, okay, so she's just evil. She clearly revels in pain and suffering, but no, not at all. That's not who Lucifer Morningstar is. And this was a great wrap up for at least her character here. Again, I don't know if they'll be coming back in the future. It seems like Lucifer's resentment towards God is still as strong as ever. So I don't know if she'll ever act on that again. I know in the past she tried to, cause a revolt, and that's what really put her in the place of hell. Um, but she does hold that grudge against God very tightly, it seems. And it doesn't feel like, while her and Dreams beef kind of got squashed, her beef with God still seems like that is just rock solid. Like, she is never going to look at God as anything else but a C word.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because it seems like Dream is just making allies everywhere, right? Like, finally
Mhm.
buried the hatchet with Morningstar here, and Creator isn't being painted in the best light from
For sure.
some of the other gods, and Endless and stuff like that. So if for whatever reason Dream is face to go against the creator, I feel like he'll have allies who also hate the creator, like in Lucifer here and stuff like that. So it'll
Mhm.
be
Definitely.
really really interesting going forward. I could see us never seeing Lucifer again, but
Me too.
part of me really wants her back in the story because what a good
Mhm.
character.
Definitely. Agreed.
And one of the last lines she gives is she's talking about Nada. Dream says, she does not wish to see me. And she says, "Well, if I can begin again, perhaps you can too." And yeah, if the devil can begin again, then you should be too.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And speaking of Nada, that is this last scene. Finally, Dream and her are able to talk. Um, Pretty touching, pretty moving. Not going to go over every line because we kind of already got a lot of the backstory. But I do want to say, I did not realize how this was like legitimately all Dream's fault. Like when
Yeah.
we got the explanation of like their background in episode 1, I thought she was saying like she was telling Dream like send me to hell, like I'd rather suffer than, let anything bad happen again. I thought she was telling Dream like send me there. But
Mhm.
Dream was just like, wait, let me get this straight. You'd rather suffer in hell than be loved by me? Okay, go to hell then. And I was like,
Yeah, like
holy shit.
he took it like very literally, and he's like, "Okay, fine. Like I will physically send you there."
So in hindsight, fucking Dream was an asshole, dude. I didn't realize he was so in the wrong. So once this
Yeah.
conversation happened, I was like, all right, Nada, say whatever, do whatever, because you sound like the adult in the room.
Nada is 100% in the right here, and it's Dream. While yes, is very logical and seemingly tends to make, for the most part, the right decision. This one is just he is like a giant baby when it comes to love. It seems like because she's right. I mean, she's declining him again here, and it feels like he is just going back through that same rage that he was feeling 10,000 years ago. And even when she slaps him, he's like, "You struck me," and I'm like, "Oh my god, you said the words like you struck me." And it's like you're
Yeah.
a baby. You are such a baby right now. I mean, granted, he does kind of reflect on the slap and realizes he was well deserving of it, and he
Hmm.
actually that's what gets him to actually apologize rather than saying I should apologize.
Hmm.
Dream is just like a baby here, and it kind of bothers me because again, we've seen him do such great things for other people, but this one thing is just he just can't get it right. And I get
Yeah.
it if like that's like his one flaw, and like I don't know if the fairy queen was maybe like like a partner after Nada, which I think it was. It seemed like right, like it was after Nada.
That's how I took it.
But if this was like his first relationship, then I kind of understand, why he's a baby and all this. Like he doesn't get how these things work, and especially when it comes to like the destruction that it could cause, like we did clearly see. But it bothers me, and kind of his actions in episode 4 bother me a little bit too. Not like I'm not like heated by any means, but it's just like he's not clicking with this relationship issue, and
Hmm.
it is causing issues for us later on, obviously, as we'll get into episode 4 with episode 4. But this one thing is the thing that he just can't nail down, and it's frustrating, and it's probably just more so frustrating because again, it feels like he's so good at a lot of other things, and it's like, why can't you just be good right here? Like, why can't you just understand this? But um Nada is 100% in the right here to leave. Like, he 10,000 years is a
Hmm.
long time. Like, he was gone for 1,000 years, but she was gone for 10,000 years and tortured at the same time. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't just sitting in a glass jar or whatever. She was heating up in the day, freezing at night, cuts all over her bodies every day. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. She was hungry for thousands of years and then just eventually was like, all right, I need to just forget that feeling of hunger and just move
Yeah.
on. It's crazy. She's absolutely right.
She says all that, and then Dream's like, "Ah, you hit me. How dare you?" And she's like, "Dude, that's not even close to what I just went through." So,
Yeah. I was like, come on, man. Come
yeah,
on.
it's interesting, and I think it directly, like clear, like not clearly, but I think it directly affects and leads to the conversation that they have at the end, which is Nada wants to go to the waking realm. She wants to be with the mortals. She wants to see humanity again. And Dream's like, well, once you do, will you come back? And she's like, dude, I don't love you. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think you're capable of love. Like, you're so logical, but whenever it comes to this emotional stuff, you just lose your logic and
Mhm.
you give in to the waves of emotion, and that's why she's like, I don't even know if you fully are capable of love and your kind, because if you truly loved me, who would ever banish me to hell for
I mean,
10,000?
that was the cherry on top. That was like, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So,
1000%.
and I think the last line really pisses Dream off too, because she's like, "You want what you cannot have. That's not love. That is desire." And he's like, "Ugh,
And then he's
desire."
like, "Oh, so that means it was all my brother's fault that I'm acting this way." And it's like, dude, come on.
Yeah. So a little ridiculous, but at the
Mhm.
end of the day, she
We
walks
got to get the
out.
story somewhere. Yeah, we got to get the story somewhere.
Yeah, she walks out and says goodbye. And I thought that was going to be kind of the end of it, but picking up right where we left off with episode 3, episode 4 starts off with Dream being depressed and just pouting underneath the clouds and the rain and being like just drenched and brooding.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, we all cope in ways, I guess. I guess even the endless, and that's how he's coping with it. Um, and Desire has a line later where she's like, "Oh, go back to doing what you do the best, which is being sorry for yourself." Which, for a lot of the time, kind of seems like that's what Dream is doing.
It's pretty accurate. Yeah.
So anyway, Lucienne gets asked like, "Hey, do you think I'm capable of love?" And she gets cut off by Matthew before she can fully give a response. So I love that that is an ongoing theme. Like, can Dream really experience the love that is what humanity experiences, or is he
Mhm.
incapable? It's really cool. And
Do you think
two,
she was going to say yes or no?
I think she was gonna say like, no. I think she was gonna be like, I think you have an idea of what love is, and it literally can't affect you. It
But it
affects.
wouldn't have been like a hard no. It would have been like, you're probably eventually able to be capable of it. But right now, you're just too inexperienced. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think she was going to say, I think, yeah, something exactly
Yeah.
along those lines of like, you don't really have a full understanding of it.
Something along the lines of true love, you would happily sacrifice part of, not part of who you are, but you would sacrifice like, how do I put this? Not change who you are, but you would make personal sacrifices for the one you love, which in Dream's eyes doesn't seem possible right now.
Yes. Yes.
But bring us back to Delirium. She's like having a grand old time being held up by the wyvern, and like when she's being put down, she's like, "Wee!" She's like, "Oh,
I
that was
like
fun."
Delirium.
Uh,
This episode definitely made me like Delirium for sure.
she's a breath of fresh air. And
Mhm.
she has really interesting lines. Like when she's talking
Mhm.
about Matthew the Raven, she's like, "I remember Matthew." And he's like, "We haven't met." She's like, "Well, we have. You just don't remember."
A nice
And
easy way to drop a seed that we can come back to later. Yeah, I was just like,
yeah,
there's no way they haven't. There's no way that they haven't met if she is so
mhm.
insistent that they have.
I mean, I strongly feel like that she is like there's more to her than she's like putting out. Even
What?
the first episode when she says, "I know things about us that even all of you guys don't know about us." It's like,
How
God,
did Matthew become a Raven again, or whatever? Like, didn't we get that backstory too in season one? Like, was he a person? Was he a person before, and then like got transformed or something like that? I can't remember. I feel like we should have. I should have looked this up before coming on the podcast, but for some reason, it's coming to me as like they used to be humans, but then they kind of end up servants for some reason. Not like obviously
yeah.
not forced against their will because Matthew seems to be a homie, but like if maybe she knew him before he became a bird and like the
Mhm.
name alone was what kind of rung out to her. We'll
I'd
see.
have yeah, I don't remember the details, so I don't wanna
They
speculate.
did tell us that information though, right? Like they definitely told us how like Matthew came to be, right?
I believe so. So that'll be interesting. God, there's so much going
The
on. I love it.
wyverns are also so cool too. They look
Oh,
great.
yeah. She's like, "Oh, I love your pet." And he's like, "That's not a pet, that's a
It's
guardian."
like, yeah, it speaks and has like a mind of its own.
Yeah. So he's like, "Yo, we got a gallery. Like, if you wanna talk, that's where you go." And she was like, "Well, you would've turned me away. You wouldn't have been able to talk." She eventually they sit down. She's like, "Dude, you're pissed off, I can tell." And he's like, "I'm distracted. I'm sorry. I'm being cold. I apologize." And she's like, "Holy shit, you apologize." Like, all right, we're making progress here.
Hmm.
So, long story short, she feels that something's wrong, something's not right, something feels broken, and she wants it to stop, and she's scared it's going to get worse. And she can't really tell what it is, but all she knows is that she felt whole when destruction was last with us, and destruction is a realm. It still exists even though he's not there, and things are still being destroyed, and it's getting out of control. She even says, like, look what happened to your realm when you were gone for a while. So
Mhm.
her
Yeah.
goal is to find destruction. She's like, don't you want to find him and just yell at him and tell him what you've been thinking this whole time, and then just bring him home? And uh, Dream kind of initially shuts her down, but when she brings up, oh, like I had the idea when I was talking to Desire, Dream's like, okay, let me go talk to Desire real quick and see what's
Yeah,
up.
and especially with Nada just leaving and mentioning Desire, now he's hearing Desire twice in the same day, and it's like, okay, might
Mhm.
as well pay a visit to him.
So, of course, he has a quick chat with Desire, which, what do you think? Do you think Desire is being genuine here when Desire's like, oh, like, you better not go searching for destruction? Like, I would hate that. Or do you think this is like reverse psychology where Desire even put the idea of, if you go and look for destruction, you might run into Nada? And Dream's like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so that line threw me off because Dream mentions that, and it's like, okay, yeah, is Desire just planning, the inception idea of like, oh, Dream's coming up with this on his own, but I'm just gonna, subtly hint at it.
Hmm.
I couldn't tell. I think he was being genuine though, or they were being genuine, and obviously that could bite us in the butt later on, but between this and the events that happened later on in Desire's reappearance, I don't think Desire is behind all this. And I also just want to say that the more we've been getting of Desire, the more I am obsessed with this character. I think Desire is just one of those characters that when they come on screen, I'm just like butts clenched, something's happening, some great conversation is going to go on. Desire's up there and one of my favorite characters of the show, I think. And they're just doing a fantastic job of
Hmm.
making it hard for us as the viewer to decide if they are a part of this all or they're not.
Yeah.
Desire has a very, very keen insight into Dream and Nada's relationship more so than any of the other siblings. So it does make it feel like that they are responsible for twisting it a little bit. But at the same time, I feel like they were speaking the truth here. So I'm going to say that Desire wasn't doing anything wrong here. I think they were just
Yeah.
telling it how it is.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the scene that we get with her next later on in the episode, does seem genuine, but I can never tell because Desire is so tricky, and God,
Yeah.
her voice like seduces me, like not
Mhm.
even trying to. It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
It's
do
just
a
like,
great job. Desire, whoever the actor that is Desire, I forget their name, but they are incredible because the way they like accent their voice and just the softness
mm,
to it, but also just the harshness to it at the same time. It's
yeah,
really well done.
it's like it is smooth, but there's like a little bit of gravel in there that like
Yeah,
is soothing.
100%. Mhm.
Um, and I just love the way they interact too, where Desire's like, where do I sit in your gallery? And like Dream creates like the simplest, most uncomfortable little chair, and she's like, fuck this, like creates a comfy recliner, like cushion. So
Right.
their relationship's so good. But
Mhm.
anyway, Dream goes back to Delirium, which I love how she's kind of like dazed out a little bit, not at the seat, like all this fungus is like mushrooms growing around her. She's
Mhm.
so interesting, but she's like, I'll go on my own if you don't want to follow. And Dream's like, all right, just calm down. Where would you begin looking if we were to do this? And she gets all excited. And she's like, I would find his old friends and ask if they've seen him. I made a list. Three people that Delirium met who knew destruction that are still alive. First one's the lawyer, a long lived mortal. Second one is the dancing woman, a god. The third one is, I think this is Attain of the Second Look, which is a figure of myth. Her handwriting was a little
Bad.
delirious. Yes. So it's hard to follow, but I think that's what it was. Which I don't know if you notice this either, but like she folds it up after like she scratches out a name, and I think on the front it says Santa North Pole. So I think she literally wrote this
Oh,
list on a letter to Santa that like she kept the envelope or something like that. So
interesting. I did not catch that. I did notice that there was something on like on the other side of the note, but I didn't
mhm.
pause or take time to notice what it said. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but
Okay.
interesting. Like it's like maybe she sent a letter to Santa, like, "Hey, Santa, what I want for Christmas is like to know the whereabouts of my brother," and maybe he just replied with 3 names. I don't know.
Wait, yeah, I just realized that too. So that was kind of the thought that I had, that she, Delirium, wrote a letter to Santa. But now I'm thinking, what if all of the letters that are written to Santa go to her realm, because you must be delirious if you think
Hilarious to think
Santa,
Santa's real.
yeah, exists or something like that. But at the same
Uh,
time, I could see Santa being real, and like one of like the guys are
yeah.
endless. Wow.
Oh, that is crazy. Yeah, I think it probably won't be Santa, it'll probably be like Saint Nick will probably be the take on it, like
Yeah,
but
that's a good call. But that's
yeah,
funny.
another character to potentially look forward to. That's funny though if it did say Santa.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I mean, it is kind of like a delirious thing to write letters to Santa, but like
Mhm.
easily very well could be a new character. So
Yeah, 'cause I mean, if the Magicians, Santa was a real character there.
yeah.
Uh, so, all of a sudden, like, the mood is all light. They're all happy and smiling and smirking, and the music's playing. Dream's like, "Lucien, we're taking a little trip. Me and Delirium, we will be back later." They talk about Fairmount, Lucien, get transportation ready and shit like that. And she's like, "Yo, are you sure this has nothing to do with Nada?" And he's like, "Look, man, perhaps fate will reunite us." And she's like, "Whatever, dude. Just fucking get
Yeah.
out of here."
Yeah.
So,
Obviously it's all for nada.
100%. So they leave. The realm's all bright and sunny again, which is, of course, Dream is now in a good mood because he might go see Nada.
Yeah,
Um,
while he's being stupid, I do like seeing Dream in a good mood, and seeing him smiling is always nice.
yes, definitely. This was great scene. So I believe this is the first time we see destruction. And
Mhm.
I didn't know what to expect. They do a really good job of making these mythical and godlike figures so different from your expectations. Just, I mean, look
Yes.
at Lucifer, Morningstar, and everything.
Mhm.
Destruction, chillest guy ever, painting on an island, minding his own business, talking with his dog buddy Barnabas. I was like, why is this guy like talked about so bad? And I know his name is Destruction, so of course I'm sure there's tragedy that comes with it. But I thought this was great introduction to him.
100%. It's just one of those things that, you have these another thing, yeah, that Sandman does really well. You just have these like kind of expectations for characters, and then they're just not what they appear at all. And I'm so curious to know like where he is, what's Barnabas's role. That's basically to me, it felt like the Matthew of, of destruction.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, man, this was really cool. I first time seeing him, it was a great destruction, great introduction to destruction.
Hmm.
No expectations. I mean, we know he has that like pool or little like well of that he describes as uh basically a prevention of
Like a warning
like
system.
a warning system. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
He's complicated. We can already tell he's complicated. We don't know where this is going to lead us, where he's at, but he does seem to be
Mhm.
aware of at least. Does it feel like he knows that maybe his siblings are looking for him, or is it just like maybe he has a feeling? I don't know.
Yeah. So, are you familiar with scrying in fantasy at all?
Mm-mm.
So yeah, he describes this as a scrying pool, which, from my understanding, the ability to scry is almost the ability to like have visions or look into the future. I think
Okay.
it varies widely depending on what type of, scrying universe, whatever it is.
Mhm.
But it makes sense, in it is an early warning detection system. If it can see into the future a
The
little bit.
future. Mhm.
Yeah. So obviously he said it's a warning against big trouble coming. So we obviously know what happens the rest of this episode with
Yes.
the deaths. So the question is destruction causing these accidents and killing his friends, or is there
Mhm.
another entity that is causing Destruction's family from finding Destruction?
So I think it's absolutely a red herring. Like I don't think they just fed us that line at the beginning of all of this destruction, where he does say, it's a warning system to prevent any big trouble, and then it's not supposed to be a coincidence that when Dream and Delirium are looking for him, that these accidents of destruction are occurring to these people that knew him. I think it's absolutely a red herring. I think the warning that he is referring to, the trouble that he is referring to, is different than it is associated the same with what is causing the people of his friends to die. Like he is not responsible. I think it's absolutely a red herring that we are to believe that Destruction is trying to basically close off all the ways for his siblings to find him. I don't think it's him.
Yes,
But then it begs the question of who is doing it. I have
e-
no idea.
exactly. So I had the same exact thought process as you. First is what they give us. Yes, Destruction separating himself. He abandoned the family and is now separating himself. But like the more you get on him and the more like we're figuring it out, it does feel like whether he made a deal with another entity, whether the other entity's interjecting, it seems like something else is causing Destruction's isolation. It's not
Yeah.
just his choice.
It feels like an Itachi Uchiha situation where I think
Yeah.
Destruction was kind of told by someone to do something that he didn't want to do, and his only way to get out of it or to escape it all maybe was to leave the siblings.
Hmm.
And whoever sent Destruction away probably viewed Destruction as the biggest threat potentially of all the siblings, maybe, and that's why they wanted to get them removed from these situations so they could do these things in the background. And they don't want, like, it's so easy to think that, oh, maybe it's Desire running the show since they were like kind of the villain in season one. But I think it's going to be a higher, like, I don't think it would be the creator. Like, it's possible, but like we just don't have like a long list, like a long enough list of names or backstories to know who it actually could be running the show.
Hmm.
But yeah, I absolutely am in belief that um, Destruction is misinterpreted as the bad guy, kind of like how Itachi was in Naruto. Like they're
Yeah.
forced to be the villain.
Yeah. Really interested. If I had to pick one character to get more on, it would be Destruction right now. Like, I want episode 5 just to be like
Oh yeah,
all of him.
definitely. That's like the big thing that like I'm looking forward to is knowing what was the severance between Destruction and the other Endless.
Definitely. So we get Delirium and Dream in the waking world. They're talking about Lord Fairmont, aka Feral now, and how he was an old god, but like all of his temples and shrines were abandoned, so he basically needed to find another line of work. So that
Mhm.
kind of goes on to the fact that like easiest way to kill a god is like to have them be forgotten. Um,
Mm.
but we have a second of like Dream thinking he saw Nada right away, and I'm like, dude, fate isn't that quick. Like,
Yeah, no,
relax,
no,
bro.
no. Yeah, no. I did
um,
not buy it either.
yeah. So we meet Wanda, really, really cool character. Their chauffeur and security and their navigator, if you will, getting them around. And I love how they get like a really flashy car to draw attention because Dream is just like, oh yeah, I want people to see us. I want them to know we're coming
Yeah,
before
like
we.
I want my brother to know we're coming. It's like,
Yeah.
sure, buddy.
Nada.
Sure, buddy. Yeah.
Nada. You want to find Nada? So anyway, they go to the Upper East Side. I gotta say, Delirium is like, "Can I drive? I bet I'd be really good."
Yeah. There's just no way in hell I'm letting that chick drive.
So we get Bernie Capex, immortal, a lawyer who is one of the oldest living beings. There are only 60 men and women with personal memories of the mammoth and the
Yeah,
saber-toothed
that was
tiger,
cool.
and he's
Mhm.
one of them. I'm like, that is such a cool way of
We're gonna
saying he's
meet the
old.
other 60 or 70 people. Like, I definitely would love to meet them, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. But I'm like, he could easily say, yeah, he's 12,000 years old. but the fact that he says that he has memories of the mammoth and a saber-toothed tiger is just a cooler way of saying it.
I this again, just me wanting more lore about the world. You know, we're expecting to meet this Bernie K-Pax character, and then he's freaking dead. But we're introduced to him as immortal. He's been around for tens of thousands of years, and then he dies. It's like, okay, what was the extent of his immortality? I guess it was the same as like Hob, where they can probably suffer and feel pain, but I don't know, you know.
Yeah, obviously we didn't get the deal of how he lived that long, but it was I was under the assumption that he was immortal in the sense that he doesn't age, but he's still susceptible to death
Death.
in other forms, like being stabbed, being killed, disease, maybe. Um, so
I thought it was like, and when he's like, but as he's dying or like in the moment of his death, you know, I thought he was going to have this like luck power kind of. I thought that's kind of where it was going because I think before the concrete or the debris fall on him, which actually kills him, you know, there's a guy with like a ladder that turns and like he coincidentally ducks down and dodges
yeah,
it. So I'm thinking like, okay, this guy's lucky. And then the debris falls on him and he's like standing there. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's how he's lived for all this time, is that he's just super lucky in that sense. Like he's immortal because he is so lucky with avoiding death in that sense. But then death
mm,
does appear and takes him away. So that kind of definitely was like, whoa, did not expect to see that happen at all.
no, that's a good point about the luck because I forgot, but that like the first time I was watching, it's kind of along the same lines of what I was thinking. I was like, oh, uh, he's lived this long just because he's been able to avoid everything that would kill
Mhm.
him. But
Right.
obviously, there's more into it, and when death pops up, I thought like I exactly what you said. I thought he was able to dodge the debris last second,
Mhm.
or like the debris didn't kill him, but then you see death, and he's like,
Death.
"Oh no, no!" And I'm like, classic
Still
reaction.
also love Death because, you know, she's so good at her job. Where we saw it last season too, where these people die and they kind of freak out. And even this guy who couldn't believe it, you know, he's been around for 12,000 years. He couldn't believe that it was his time, but she is just so good at consoling them and just like
Mm,
letting them know that this is okay.
yeah,
She's great. I love Death, and
just yeah.
she is such like an antithesis to what Desire is for Dream, in that she gives a lot of soft love to Dream, it feels like, and you know, words of encouragement, whereas Desire, as we'll get into later on, is a bit of that harsher love, I will say. And it's just it's a good balance between the two of them. They're so different, but like I love
Mhm.
both of them.
Bringing it back to having expectations for characters, I think of death as this unforgiving, you're coming with me hooded skeletal figure, and
Super
instead
nice character. Yeah.
gentlest smile and kindest
Yeah.
face ever just coming up. And yeah,
Yeah.
she always says the right things too, where Kate Bernie is like, "Oh, I did pretty good though, 12,000 years, that's pretty good, isn't it?" And she's like, "Hey, you got what everybody gets, no more no less, you got a lifetime," which is
Hmm.
such a cool way of putting it.
Hmm.
So Dream and Delirium show up, learn that Bernie literally was just not just killed, but that he just died, and they assume, be like, "Oh shit, like maybe he did get killed. Maybe what are the chances that he died right as we get to his door?"
Yeah, because Delirium is of the belief that it could be a pure coincidence. Of course, Dream doesn't think
Mhm.
that way.
Yeah. So Dream kind of wants to stop, but she's like, "No, come on. Like I knew you would do this." She's like, she kind of goes into the guilt a little bit too. Like I knew you were gonna abandon me, and like, and all this other stuff.
Like
So
is
Dream,
delirium, like I was getting in the moment here that Delirium could somehow be behind all this, like that she's like twisting everyone because she is like forcing Dream to keep pursuing the brother, even though he is at a clear point of where like, okay, maybe we should consider stopping doing what we're doing.
yep.
But she is like, no, we got to keep going. So like I'm fishy of Delirium after like from here.
No, totally, totally. I had the same exact because like she's already has this persona of being, and she's already said to Dream, sometimes I get lost and really confused, and some days I just have really bad days where I just want to cry or like bleed or run away and hide. So like she's such this innocent, like needs help character that she would be the perfect one to be able to play everybody.
That's why it feels like that as well. And she's always like yelling at Dream saying, you think you're so much smarter than me, like that's been a recurring line. It feels like that, does your older brother, when she's talking to Wanda later on, when she's like, does your older brother always look down on you and think you're an idiot kind of stuff? And this is like, if she is behind it all, it'd be her way of showing everybody like, hey, I'm capable. Stop looking at me like the little sister. I hope it honestly isn't that easy, but I definitely have my eye on Delirium going
Mhm.
forward for sure.
I'm all over the place too because, like you said, I could believe that, or I could believe that Delirium is getting manipulated by
By
desire.
someone else, yeah, or desire,
Yeah,
yeah, 100%.
yeah. So it's honestly just great writing and storytelling at that point that all of these are possibilities.
Yeah.
So they go back to Wanda. They say, "Hey, can you bring us to the dancing woman? She's in Philly. Let's
Yeah,
go."
Philly,
We got a
home
little
of the world champs.
yeah, we got a little shot of the skyline too. So Big Ben, I loved it.
Yeah.
But they kind of have a dinner reservation beforehand. This is where they just get to know Wanda a little bit better and her backstory. She kind of tells about how she ran away from home when she was 15 because her parents were so conservative, and she was, taking hormone therapy, so they wouldn't have known what to do, so she ran away. And
Mhm.
she has one line about, Oz, which I thought was funny. And Delirium's like, I love Judy Garland. She used to spend a lot of time in my realm. It's just like
Yeah,
hysterical.
it's like, yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah, that this actress, was constantly delirious.
Yeah.
But this relates directly to their situation with destruction because they asked Wanda, like, if your family came here uninvited looking for you, would you be happy to see them? And Wanda's like, yeah, I would be happy. I'd be very happy, assuming destruction would be happy. And
Mhm.
if they asked you to come home, like, what would you say? Because, again, trying to figure out what they're going to say to destruction. And she would say, I tell them I have a whole life in my own that I built here, but I would love if they would come to visit. You know, I would love that very much. So
Mhm.
Delirium and Dream kind of make eye contact and smile. And they're like, all right, maybe this will be the conversation that we have with destruction. Maybe we can just go and talk.
Yeah, super, super nice scene that I definitely enjoyed hearing Wanda kind of console Dream and Delirium in her stories. So
Mhm.
it was very heartwarming.
So they make it to the dancing woman, the god of sex and war. Um, Wild. Was not expecting, strip club right away, but I
Mhm.
should have because it was like the dancing woman. But get in there, and Dream sneaks behind to talk to her, calls her Belili, and she's like, it's Ishtar now. Just little lines like that give so much backstory, even though we're never gonna get it really. It makes
Yeah,
it so much more deep, which I love.
definitely.
But we get into this conversation. Ishtar was in a relationship with Destruction. Dream told Destruction to cut her out of his life and all this other stuff. And I think it's kind of teaching us and leaning into the fact that Destruction, when it seems like he's not like a mean or bad guy, but he is destroying these relationships that he has by telling Ishtar what Dream said by, cutting off Dream. And it's like, I'm sure that's part of his personality of being destruction by accident, but it's adding a lot to it.
Mhm.
And also explains why Ishtar doesn't like Dream right off the bat. S-
Yeah. And you
So,
can tell that obviously, I think Dream's influence on Ishtar's and Destruction's relationship, I think obviously stemmed from his own issues with him and Nada. I think again, if the timeline is correct, I think to me it
mhm,
feels like Nada and Dream's relationship is like one of the first events to happen, at least from what we've seen in the story, and then
10,000
everything
years
else.
ago. Yeah, is what.
Yeah, that feels like the latest we've gone back so far, at least in my mind. And
Mhm,
that, he breaks up with Nada, sends her to hell, and then like fresh off that, Ishtar and Destruction are dating, and he Dreams just like, you got to break up with this girl. Like it's just
yeah.
not going to work out for you. And it's just like,
No, it's a great
so,
point. It's a
and then
great
I
point.
think, and that's why in this conversation as well, he's telling her that I don't hate you. I don't hate Destruction. It's just, I think he was just reflecting on his own relationships, and it made it feel like
Mhm,
he hated them, but that wasn't the case at all. I think he was trying to look out for them in a really fucked up way, but at the same time, like also jealous of them being able to be in love potentially.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, this was a good conversation for sure. For again, Dream to kind of just get some more reflection on himself and how big of an asshole he's been because of
Yeah.
like what he did with Nada, and I think it's a great way for him to open up. So yeah,
A scorned Dream trying the misery loves company aspect of no one should be in a relationship and happy if I can't be. So
yeah, feels on par with his character.
So he asked if Ishtar knows where destruction is. She doesn't, but he also comes with a warning that you might be in danger, not sure what form or why, but we try to talk to another one of destruction's friend and he was destroyed before we even able to approach him. So she's like, thanks for killing me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I clearly, like,
Mhm.
you believe that it is not a coincidence and somebody is really trying to do it. So I don't really blame Dream here, though. I blame her because she fucking lights a candle directly in front of the wispiest drapes made of all time. And it's like, you are a god. You have had temples devoted to you for I don't even know how many millennia, and you don't know about fire safety. Like, get the fuck out of here. So,
Kind of deserving of her own death if she couldn't prevent it that way. Yeah.
dude, it's not even like she put a candle over to the side and like the wind blew and made the drape go over there. It was like the candle was directly in front of the drape, and I was
Yeah.
like, is ridiculous. So,
I will
um,
my at first I was like thinking like, oh, how is a simple explosion going to kill a guy? But then you kind of just think about what they've been talking about for these past couple episodes in terms of gods thrive off of worship and
mhm,
prayer and all that stuff. So if a god isn't receiving that, then they are severely weakened. So something like this, just an explosion of this caliber, could easily, I think, take them out with having no followers or no worship. Um, but yeah, definitely her own fault.
yeah, I love the line where she's like, "If I'm gonna die tonight, then I would do so as a goddess. I'm gonna go out there and dance." Last time I danced, there was temples erected in my name and all this other
It's
stuff, and
pretty badass.
it was pretty cool. So,
Mhm.
I was a little underwhelmed with like the visual of her dancing that we got. I know it's
Agreed.
supposed to be like, of course, like you're entranced and hypnotized if you're actually there watching. That's what everybody didn't react to the fire because they were just
Mhm.
so captivated by her.
Yeah, like, she not see the fire? Like, honestly, I thought it was, like, part of the show at first, and then Dream says, "Run," and I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
not part of the show."
The final destination aspect of like the gas
Right.
line just cracking and the fire coming in.
Mhm.
And it seemed like, yeah, even Dream was like kind of distracted for a little bit before like he kind of came to.
Mhm.
Um, so the explosion happens. We see Wanda's body. Unfortunately, she dies. Did we see Ishtar's body, or we to assume that she just died?
It's a good point, actually, now that you mention it. I'm pretty sure we're just led to assume that she died. That's a
Okay,
good point.
I would like to say I'm like leaning like 90% that way that she is dead. The only reason I bring this up is because when she says I'm going to go out there and dance as a goddess, and if I do survive, I will do my best to live as one from now on. Meaning, like I will live as a goddess. I won't just live as like somebody hiding of somebody that, like they used to be.
Mhm.
And also, what you said, she almost by dancing and putting on that show, she almost gave that small crowd that was in front of her like belief that she was a goddess, even if it was
Mhm.
short. So I wonder if just that short amount of time and belief and
Power.
hypnotization would give her enough to withstand this, mortal explosion. But I'm not sure.
Good call. Because usually I feel like we're all on the same page of, "Oh, we didn't see her die, so,
Mm,
not dead," but I didn't even think of that here. I just kind of was like, "Oh, yeah, she's done for." But you're absolutely right. I think there is a good chance since we didn't see her dead, I don't think that she lived for sure.
yeah,
And I
we'll
also
be.
think it's so interesting that, like, the gods and the endless, kind of have their branches, if you will say, if so to say, and how this was basically a temple to desire. Not
Yeah,
it wasn't like Ishtar's temple, it was Desire's temple, and that Ishtar was kind of like a subservient. He wasn't like a servant of Desire, but like their paths were walked very similarly, you know, and so I think it's so cool, and that it makes sense that Desire would show up here because of that. Like, it's so cool how that all ties together.
It was perfect. Yeah, like they're not the same gods, but like who
Hmm.
they are somewhat overlap. And
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. Exactly what you're saying. Yeah, like I didn't even think Desire was gonna pop up, but when she was like, "How dare you destroy like my place of worship?" And I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh yeah, I guess yeah." A strip club literally is just men desiring women and
And
all this
yeah,
other stuff. So it was really great. And right before Desire pops up, I believe Dream's like, "Yo, Delirium, we gotta stop. We cannot continue this."
mhm.
And then Desire shows up pissed off and you know,
Speaking facts. Speaking
yeah,
facts. Honestly, I think Desire is absolutely in the right here, and this kind of is going back to what I was saying with like Death and Desire's relationships with Dream. You know, I think Death would have had a more maybe sympathetic approach to all this death and destruction that Dream indirectly was a part of. And I think she would have consoled him. But here, Desire has no intentions of that. Just Desire letting into Dream, just saying, you know, if I, and he's right. Like, if Desire had done this to like a Dream place of worship, Dream would not have stood for it and would have immediately just lashed out at Desire.
mhm,
And Dream can't really process that. But I think Desire has been spitting facts this episode, which is crazy to say since they're usually just such a weasel. But I got to give credit here. I think the tough love is much needed for Dream here,
mhm,
because if this was about finding their brother, if it was what he was saying it was all about in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have drum up such an issue. But because he lied, and because it was more so about Nada than it was about finding the brother, that's where this really becomes the
yeah,
drama part of it all.
mhm. Dream says like, "Oh, I suspect it was our brother who destroyed this," and Desire's like, "No, it wasn't. He warned us not to go and look for him, and you ignored his
Yeah.
warning and
Mhm.
my warning, which I just
Yep.
gave you earlier this episode."
Mhm.
And so Delirium's like trying to take responsibility, saying like, "No, he was trying to. Dream was trying to help me. I was the one going and looking for brother." And that's when Desire drops a bomb, where it's like, "No, he had no intention of ever finding our brother. Did you?" Which Dream responds to no, which personally I was a little surprised. I thought he genuinely was like he was asking Ishtar all these questions. You know, it was really only one or two about destruction, but I thought he was that slightly like it was 90% nada, 10% destruction. But I guess
Mhm.
in Dream's eyes it was always all nada. So
Mhm.
kind of deserves it. And this just sets Delirium, you know, sets her off. She's like, Dream, you must think I'm very stupid. Desire's like, Dream doesn't think of you at all. So
This
she,
storm off makes me not think that Delirium is like
yeah,
behind everything,
true.
but it could just be good acting. We don't know, but
It, it could be. And
yeah.
because, like you said, it seems like a genuine reaction where she's like, I thought you liked me near the end. I thought that we would
Mhm.
find him and make everything okay. I thought you were my friend.
I
Eventually,
absolutely feel bad for her.
oh, totally. The
Mhm.
actor is so good at
Yeah, she has been amazing too. I think her name is Esme, I think I saw.
just being like heartbroken and innocent at the same time. It's so
Mhm.
good. But she says, you know, I understand why destruction left us. So I'm telling you now, stay away from me. Don't follow me. Don't summon me. Leave me alone. My realm is closed to both of you. And the mirror slowly cracking
Yeah,
behind her and then just becoming a portal and then disappearing altogether. I was like, that's such a cool delirium way to travel.
it was badass for sure, and definitely leaves us on such a huge cliffhanger.
Hmm. And
Dream, yeah, should have just
he,
it's Nada, man. The whole relationship with him and Nada just makes him all of a sudden just become a baby. Like, it just doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to handle it. He just
yeah.
is so immature in this situation.
He's just a hypocrite too, because
Yeah, 100%.
he's telling Desire, "Oh, don't you lecture me on this," and Desire's like you lectured me like not even long ago," and then says the
Mhm.
quote, "We do not manipulate them, Desire. If anything, they manipulate us." Directly going to last season, and Desire's like, "Dude, I am so sick of you. Tell that
Yeah.
to Bernie and Ishtar and Wanda. I'm done with you." So
Mhm.
that was the end of the episode. And now, like we said, was this Desire's plan all along? Is this genuine, like, angry reactions toward Dream, or is this insanely good acting? Because this was the plan all along. Desire's plan was to plant the seed in Destruction's head to go. I'm sorry, plant the seed in Delirium's head to go look for Destruction, which she knew that Dream would tag along with, because Desire planted the idea that they might also find Nada in the mortal realm when she talked to Dream, saying, "Oh no, don't go, don't go. You might find her, but don't go, don't go. I was worried you were going to go because of this reason." And then at the end, you know, you see where Dream is, and he lost Desire, he lost Delirium, he lost Destruction. It's almost like Desire could be creating this rift between all of Dream's allies to just isolate Dream.
Mhm.
So I'm Desire suspect one, but again, I don't know to what extent. Like, I could be completely wrong, and this really is just Dream creating his own demise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the candidates are Desire, but it might be too obvious. Delirium, but they've also shown some pretty emotional moments and
And like
anger
innocent.
towards Dream. Yeah, innocence. It's tough, man. And is the one controlling the strings someone we don't know? But stay tuned, because we're going to be covering episodes 5 and 6 in our next recording. Of course, then we'll have that little bit of a break until episodes 7 to 12 come out. But that's going to be it for today's episode coverage of The Sandman. If you like what you heard, give Bingetown TV a follow on all of our socials at Bingetown TV. That's going to be on X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Be sure to join our Discord, which is linked in our episode description below. Be sure to chat with us about anything that you're watching with us, or anything that you're currently watching and want us to know about. Lastly, we're going to ask for you to check out our newest Bingetown TV feeds. The first one being called The Core, which breaks down all of the newest and hottest Apple TV shows. We just wrapped up coverage of Murderbot on there, and we are heading directly into our foundation coverage. We have Binge Empire, of course, the one that you're listening to right now, which is covering fantasy and sci-fi TV shows. Obviously covering Sandman, but also soon to be covering Dexter. And then if you're looking for something to cover reality TV, we have the Unreal Reality podcast that just finished Survivor and Traitors. But that's going to be it. Once again, we are the Binge Empire podcast, and thank you so much for listening.